Today is Wednesday, January the 8th, and we're reading Genesis 23, 24, and 25.
Very good.
Huh? I have this.
This is the woman at the well. Yes, at the well, not the whale. We have a thumbs up. We have a fist bump. In the whale. No, there wasn't a woman in the whale.
Like in the water whale. No, did that one.
So we're going to find out about it though, okay?
We have to read that at back.
Oh, a cheerful disposition. And we have our Genesis book in the Passion Translation. So here we go. No. We're going to find out if this was a well or a whale.
If she got eaten by a whale.
Okay, the death of Sarah. Chapter 23. Sarah lived to be 127. She died in the land of Canaan at Kiriath Arba, also known as Hebron. There Abram mourned and wept for her. After his time of mourning was over, Abraham got up from where her body lay and went to speak with the Hittites. He said to them, I live as an alien and stranger among you. Sell me some of your property so I can use it as a burial site for my wife. Hear us, my lord, the Hittites answered. You are a mighty prince of God among us. You may bury your dead in the choicest of our tombs. None of us would withhold our burial ground from you. Then Abraham bowed respectfully before the Hittites, the people of the land, and he said to them, If you are willing to allow my wife a proper burial, then please hear me out. On my behalf, please persuade your countryman Ephron, the son of Zohar, to sell me the cave he owns at Machpelah, on the edge of his land. Let him sell it to me publicly and at the full price, so that I may own it for a burial site. Now Ephron the Hittite was sitting there among his countrymen. He spoke up so all the Hittites who sat at the gate as elders of the city could hear him, and said, No, my lord, no, my lord, listen. I will give you not only the cave, but also the entire field. In the presence of my people, I will give it to you to bury your dead. Then Abraham bowed low before the people of the land, and he said to Ephron, in the hearing of all the people, No, please, sir. No, please listen, kind sir. I will pay whatever the field is worth. Take my money so that I can bury my dead there. If you insist, my lord, answered Ephron. But what is a piece of land worth? Only 400 silver shekels to men of our standing. Go ahead and bury your dead. So Abraham agreed to the amount, weighed out the 400 silver shekels according to the merchant's standard of weight, and in the presence of the Hittites gave the money to Ephron. So Ephron's field at Machpelah, east of Mamre, along with the cave and all the trees within its borders, passed to Abraham as his legal possession. The complete transaction was carried out in the presence of the Hittites, those who sat as elders in the city gates. After this, Abraham buried his wife Sarah in the cave there in the field of Machpelah, near Mamre, now Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Both the field and the cave passed from the Hittites to Abraham's possession to be his family burial ground.
Abraham seeks a wife for Isaac. Now Yahweh had wonderfully blessed Abraham in every way, and he became a very old man, well advanced in years. One day Abraham called for his trusted head servant, who was in charge of all he had, and said, Please put your hand here under my thigh, and I will make you swear by Yahweh, the God of heaven and earth, that you will not acquire a wife for my son among the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I am living. Promise me you will go instead to my relatives in my native land, and find a wife among them for my son Isaac. The servant asked him, Suppose a woman is not willing to come back with me to this land. Should I then take your son back to your native land? Absolutely not, Abraham answered. Make sure that you do not take my son back there. For Yahweh, the God of heaven, took me from my father's house and from the land of my birth. He spoke to me and solemnly promised that he would give his land to my descendants. I know he will send his angel before you so that you can find a wife for my son from there. And if for any reason the woman is unwilling to come back with you, then you are released from this oath that you swear to me. But no matter what, do not take my son back there. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of the master Abraham and swore an oath to carry out his wishes. The woman at the well. So the servant took 10 of his master's camels, loaded them with all sorts of gifts, some of the best things his master owned, and journeyed toward the distant land of Mesopotamia until he got to the village where Abraham's brother Nahor had lived. He had his camels kneel by a well outside the village. It was evening, the time when the women came out to draw water. He prayed, Yahweh, God of my master Abraham, let my journey here be a success, and show your gracious love to my master Abraham. I am standing here by the well, and the young women of the village are coming out to draw water. Give me a sign. I will say to one of the girls, Please lower your jar and give me a drink. And if she is the right one, the girl whom you have chosen to be a wife for your servant Isaac, then let her say to me, Drink, and I will also draw water for your camels. By this sign I will know that you have shown your gracious love to my master. Suddenly, before he had finished praying, there was Rebekah approaching the well with her jar on her shoulder. She was the daughter of Bethuel and the granddaughter of Milcah and Abraham's brother Nahor. The young woman was strikingly beautiful, unmarried, and still a virgin. She walked down to the well, filled her jar, and came back up. Abraham's servant hurried over to meet her and said, Please lower your jar and give me a little drink. She responded, Drink, my lord. She then quickly lowered her jar to give him a drink. Then after she had finished giving him a drink, she added, I will also draw water for your camels until they have finished drinking. She quickly emptied her jar into the watering trough and ran back to the well to draw more water, until she had watered all the camels. Meanwhile, the servant stared at her silently, pondering whether Yahweh had indeed made his journey successful. After the camels had finished drinking, he took a costly gold nose ring weighing a half shekel and 2 solid gold bracelets weighing 10 shekels and gave them to Rebekah. And then he asked her, Tell me, who is your father? Is there room in your father's house for me and my men to stay tonight? She replied, My father's name is Bethuel, and my grandparents are Milcah and Nahor. She went on, There is room for you to spend the night at our home, and plenty of straw and food for the camels. Upon hearing this, the servant bowed down and worshipped Yahweh, saying, Praised by Yahweh, the God of Abraham, for you have faithfully kept your promise to my master and displayed your wonderful kindness and love. Yahweh, you have led me straight to the very place of my master's relatives. Rebekah's family agrees to the marriage arrangement. Then the girl quickly ran to inform her mother and the family about all that had happened. Now Rebekah had an older brother named Laban, and when he had heard everything the man had told his sister and saw her gold nose ring and the costly bracelets dangling on her wrist, Laban ran out to meet the man waiting at the well. And there he was standing beside his camels. Then Laban said to the man, Friend, Yahweh has wonderfully blessed you. Please come to my home. Why are you standing out here when I have prepared the house for you and a place for your camels? So the man came into my house, and his camels were unloaded and were given straw and fed. The servants brought water to wash the man's feet and the feet of the men with him. But when they set food before him, he said, I won't eat until I tell you why I'm here. Please tell us, Laban said. I am Abraham's servant, he began. Yahweh has wonderfully blessed my master, and he has become extremely wealthy. Yahweh has given him flocks and herds, camels and donkeys, a fortune in silver and gold, and many male and female servants. And my master's wife, Sarah, has miraculously borne him a son in her old age, and my master's son is the sole heir of his fortune. My master has put me under an oath, saying, do not get a wife for my son from among the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I am living. Instead, go to my relatives in my native lands and find a wife among them for my son. In reply, I said to my master, suppose a woman refuses to return with me. He answered me, Yahweh, in whose presence I have walked all these years, will send his angel with you and will make your mission successful. You will find a wife for my son from among the relatives of my father's family. If you go to my relatives and they will not give her to you, then and only then will you be released from this oath. So when I arrived at the well today, I prayed, O Yahweh, God of my master Abraham, make my mission a success. I'm here standing at this well. May the right girl for my master's son come out to draw water, and when she does, I will say to her, please give me a little drink from your jar. And if she replies saying, drink, and I also draw water from your camels, then I might know that she is a young woman Yahweh has chosen for my master's son. Before I had even finished my heartful prayer, there was Rebekah coming out with her water jar on her shoulder. After she went down to the well and filled her jar, I said to her, please give me a drink. She quickly lowered her jar and said, drink, and I will also draw water for your camels. So I drank, and she also watered the camels. Then I asked her, tell me, who is your father? She said, I am the daughter of Bethuel, son of Nahor, whom Milcah bore to him. When I learned she was my master's family, I put a gold ring in her nose and a gold bracelet on her wrists, and I bowed before Yahweh and worshipped him. I praise Yahweh, the God of my master Abraham, who led me perfectly on the right path to find the very daughter of my master's brother to marry his son. Now if you will show faithful love to my master and do what is right, then give me permission to take Rebekah back to his land. If not, tell me, and I will go on my way. After hearing this, Laban and Bethuel said, this was all planned by Yahweh. If this is his plan, what can we say? Here stands our Rebekah before you. You may take her and go and let her marry your master's son and fulfill Yahweh's plan for her. Then Abraham's servant heard their words. He bowed his face down to the ground and worshipped Yahweh. Then he brought expensive jewelry of silver and gold and exquisitely embroidered garments and gave them all to Rebekah. And he gave costly gifts to her brother and her mother. Afterward, the servant and his men ate and drank, and they spent the night in Laban's home. First thing in the morning, he said to them, allow me now to return to my master. Her brother and mother replied, please let Rebekah remain with us a while, for 10 days or so. Then she may go with you. He responded, please, Yahweh has made my mission successful. Send me off with her to my master. Don't make me wait. They answered him, we will wait for Rebekah and see what she wants to do. So they called for Rebekah and asked her, will you go with this man? I will gladly go with him, she answered. So they sent their sister Rebekah away with her servant girls to go with Abraham's servant and his men. As she departed, they blessed her with these words, our dear sister, may you become thousands of 10,000s. May your descendants gain possessions of the city gates of their foes. Then Rebekah and her servant girls mounted the camels and followed the servants and his men. Isaac meets Rebekah. Meanwhile, Isaac, who was living in the southern desert of Canaan, had just come back to his camp from the well of the living one who watches over me. Isaac went out into the evening into the field to meditate. He looked up and saw camels coming in the distance. As Rebekah got closer, she raised her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she nearly fell off her camel. She whispered to the servant, who is the man walking in the field toward us? Why, he's the one about whom I told you. That's my young master, the servant said. So Rebekah quickly took her veil and covered her face. Then the servant began to explain to Isaac in detail all the amazing things that had happened. Isaac fell in love with Rebekah. He took her to be his wife, and they were married. And he brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. In this way, Isaac was greatly comforted after his mother's death.
Chapter 25. Abraham and Keturah's descendants. Now Abraham had taken another wife, whose name was Keturah. She and Abraham had sons named Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan was the father of Sheba and Dedan. Dedan's sons were the Asherites, the Letushites, and the Lumites. Midian's sons were Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and Ulda. All these were the descendants of Keturah. Abraham gave all that he possessed to Isaac, but to his sons by his concubines he gave gifts while he was still living. He sent them all away eastward, separating them from his son Isaac. The death of Abraham. Abraham lived a total of 175 years. Abraham took his final breath, dying at a good old age. After having lived a full, content life, he joined his ancestors. His sons, Isaac and Ishmael, buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the fields which had belonged to Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, east of Mamre. They buried him next to his wife Sarah, in the same field that Abraham purchased from the Hittites. After Abraham had passed, God greatly blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac settled near the well, named the Well of the Living One who watches over me. The descendants of Ishmael. This is the account of the descendants of Abraham's son Ishmael, whom Sarah's servant Hagar the Egyptian bore to Abraham. Would you like to read? The names of Ishmael's sons in their birth order are Nebaioth, the firstborn, and Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Dama, Massa, Hadad, Timah, Jeter, Naphish, and Kedemah. These 12 sons of Ishmael became princes, the 12 tribes that were named after them, listed by the places they settled and camped. They occupied the land from Havilah to Shur, which is east of Egypt in the direction of Assyria. And Ishmael lived in hostility toward all of his people. At the age of 137, Ishmael breathed his last and died and was joined to his ancestors. The birth of Jacob and Esau. This is how the story of Isaac begins. He was the beloved son of Abraham and the successor of Abraham's blessing. When he was 40, he married Rebekah. She was the daughter of Bethuel, the sister of Laban. Both her father and brother were Arameans from Padan Aram. Now Rebekah was unable to have children, but Isaac pleaded with Yahweh on behalf of his wife because she was barren, and she did get pregnant, for Yahweh responded to Isaac's prayer. During her pregnancy, Rebekah could feel twins thrashing and struggling with each other inside her womb. So she went to inquire of Yahweh, saying, Why do I have to live with this? And Yahweh answered her, saying, The 2 sons in your womb will become 2 nations, and the 2 peoples within you will become rivals. One people will become stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. And when the time came for Rebekah to give birth, sure enough, she had twins. The first one came out reddish and covered with hair like a hairy garment. So they named him Esau. And his brother came out with his hand grasping Esau's heel. So they named him Jacob. Isaac was 60 when the twins were born. Esau sells his birthright. When the boys grew up, Esau became a rugged outdoorsman and a hardy hunter. But Jacob was more contemplative, content to stay close to home. Isaac loved Esau because he was fond of eating wild game, but Rebekah dearly loved Jacob. One day, when Jacob was cooking a stew, Esau returned from hunting, and he was famished. Smelling the aroma of food, Esau said to Jacob, "I'm starving. Let me eat some of that red stuff you're cooking." That is why he is also called Edom. "Yes, but first you must trade me your birthright," Jacob replied. "Can't you see I'm dying of hunger?" Esau said. "What good is the birthright if I'm dead?" But Jacob insisted. "First, swear to me that you'll give it to me." So Esau swore an oath and surrendered his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some lentil stew and bread. When Esau had finished eating and drinking, he just got up and walked away. Esau cared nothing about his own birthright.
And that is
Genesis 23, 24,
and 25. Bye. Have a great day.
Bye.